So on this sleepy Sunday, I thought we would take a look at some Star Wars Duel of the Fates, 10 leaked pieces of concept art that prove it would have been a better movie. I mean, that's not too much of a stretch. We know that the film that we did have was poo-poo. But this is interesting. Like, I always find this stuff to be interesting. It's like, what? Like, you always ask yourself, why has someone chosen one thing over another, right? That's always what I ask myself when I see these things. So I thought we would take a look, because we've had the plot kind of outlined and things like that, but I thought we would just take a look at these concept pieces, because some of them are quite funny. I mean, the fact that they put these little bobbleheads on these sort of bodies here, they do look so dumb. They do look so dumb. But, so, the Star Destroyer escape. Rey, Finn, and Poe Dameron are seen fighting their way through the Eclipse. It's a new kind of Star Destroyer, which was obviously in this piece of artwork. They intended to take down a power shaft that supplied raw ore to a First Order factory below during this opening battle, but things swiftly go awry for our heroes, which is why they're now on the run. I mean, you'd think they'd be on the run anyway, but okay. But definitely shades of like Star Destroyer, Death Star there, right? Rey was set to combine Luke Skywalker's lightsaber with her signature staff to build her own Jedi weapon. Twin-bladed Darth Maul-esque lightsaber. Hence why she's now using a double-bladed lightsaber in this scene. That makes way more sense than her trying to mend a lightsaber that was split in half during the events of The Last Jedi. So Rey, Finn, and Poe were planning to seize this Star Destroyer, providing their fellow rebels with a powerful new weapon and dealing a huge blow to the First Order in the process. Regardless, the Resistance's plot would have ultimately failed. So, not bad. Like, fine, sure, whatever. And then there was all this kind of Kylo Ren's redemption. So, while that was happening, while that scene was happening, and this is what this piece of artwork shows, Kylo Ren was searching for an ancient weapon on the opposite side of the galaxy that he could use to defeat Rey and his mother's army. He'd have discovered a Sith holocron and a message from Palpatine instructing him to find Tor Valum, a Sith master and Palpatine's tutor, during an encounter with Luke's Force Ghost on Mustafar. So that's interesting. Because, I mean, that is completely different. But also, like, the holocron, so you can see how some of these things were kind of used, but kind of weren't. You know, Palpatine there, etc. However, and also, like, Palpatine's tutor. It's interesting that they sort of scrapped, you know, what we know, Plagueis and stuff. However, the holocron would have released a flash of red force lightning, leaving Kylo severely hurt and hideously scarred. Why? Because it could sense that inside he was still torn between his light and dark sides. Not bad. But I don't think you really come back from killing Han Solo. In this piece, we see the villain being cared for and nursed back to health by some of the planet's citizens, shocked by their selflessness and what happened with that holocron. Kylo was going to start to realise that redemption might be possible and that there was still good within him. It wasn't possible, mate. So we'd have this, you know, the general and the princess. So Trevorrow's script called for Carrie Fisher's General Leia Organa to spend a significant portion of the film amassing an army and trying to mobilise people around the galaxy to rebel against the First Order once and for all. After Fisher passed away, of course, it was decided to kill her off early and give Poe Dameron and Chewbacca her original character arc. For example, they would have been the ones to track down Lando in a bid to convince him to join their cause rather than Leia. Still dumb. What we had was still dumb. Especially her flying through the sky. Dumb. The princess in general is seen in this piece of concept. I mean, it's a beautiful piece of concept art. Like, that is beautiful art. But that was going to be a brand new planet called Korolev that would have been the Resistance's base. And in both versions of the plot, Leia was going to be deeply affected by Kylo Ren's deeds. With that in mind, it's easy to understand why she appeared to be so dejected in this picture. I think the concept art is fantastic. It really does capture that. So we would have a Knights of Ren fight. So the Knights of Ren in Duel of the Fates would have each had unique names and personalities, despite being glorified stormtroopers in The Rise of Skywalker. One of them was even supposed to be revealed as Kylo Ren's rival, who also accessed that Sith holocron and later tried to assassinate both Rey and Kylo in order to usher in a new age of the Sith. However, many of them would have still perished, and in this image Chewbacca is seen seizing one of the knights by the throat. The leaked script states that he would have then flung the villain into the air before shooting him out of the sky. I mean, that is the Chewbacca that we want. Not being captured needlessly. There was a draft of the script with the aforementioned female knight emerging as a deadly new threat and the movie's main villain. But for the most part, they were cannon fodder. We can blame J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson for treating them as unimportant background characters in their movies for that, of course, which is true. Yeah, 100%, they were dumb. I like this piece of art. It's very Vader-esque, isn't it? So Kylo Ren didn't track down the fragments of his previous mask and put them back together. Instead, he'd have created a new helmet for himself after the Force lightning that erupted from the Sith holocron left him with scars. He did, after all, destroy his previous one in The Last Jedi. So that kind of makes sense. I still don't see, like, you'd think if he's on that path to redemption, he wouldn't do that, though. It's just another thing to conflict the audience. But again, beautiful artwork. This concept art depicts him sitting in a chamber that isn't all that dissimilar from Darth Vader's one, which is true. Obviously, that's very intentional. It's a sinister and terrifying mask that's obviously modelled after Vader, although it seems to draw inspiration from stormtroopers. True. And also Knights of Ren slightly as well. It's difficult to determine why Abrams and Terrio chose to bring back the original version of a new as a new version. Would have been fun to see. True. Again, doesn't really make an awful lot of sense why they would have done that. But yeah, there is some more. There is more, ladies and gents. There is more. So, we had this before. Kylo Ren meets his new master. This thing. I can't remember whether this was the thing which Matt Smith was going to play. I don't think so. While the final draft of Trevorrow's completely scrapped. Oh no, that was the new one with Rian Johnson, wasn't it? I think. Oh God, I get so confused with this stuff now. But there would be a subplot in favour of the female Knight of Ren, be it going rogue. The original version was going to send Kylo Ren to the Sith Temple on Remnicor, and he would have to come face to face with Tor Valum. Interesting design, like very interesting design. Heading down to a dark path and a brief shot at redemption, the Supreme Leader was going to destroy his weak grandfather's helmet during an outburst on Coruscant. Later, Kylo is led to a vengeance in the Force, where he would have faced Darth Vader after discovering how the Sith can prolong their lives by sapping the life force from other creatures. So since Valum was characterised as having a Lovecraftian appearance and being over 7,000 years old, his debut was bound to introduce some intriguing new wrinkles to the galaxy's past. In the end, the former Ben Solo would have fallen short of outdoing his grandfather in a cave fight, clearly meant to pay homage to The Empire Strikes Back. But this kind of like flies in the face of there's only two Sith at a time. If this thing's still around and like, you know, you've got Emperor Palpatine just cruising around, you'd be like, what? Alright, sure, I guess. So then you had this, the First Order's prisoner. The Jedi Temple is located on Coruscant, and the iconic location was once set to play a significant role in Duel of the Fates. It was set to be the First Order's headquarters, so it's good that they were going to do that, because it's very much like, you know, we'll take hostage and use the buildings of the people that we've overthrown. It's very much, that's real life, you know. It's interesting they would have done that. But that was going to be the locations of the movie's final battle, when Finn and Rose inspired the inhabitants of the planet to rebel against their captors. The hard-hitting piece here depicts Finn as a First Order prisoner in a labour camp, and shows how much Coruscant has changed over the years. Basically just digging crap up. So we'd have Kylo Ren's new powers. Kylo Ren would soon learn how to sap the life energy from everyone around him, despite failing to defeat Darth Vader in a fight. Here, he's demonstrating that by drawing energy from a tree, causing it to wither and die. Beautiful shot. And it's literally in the background of here. You can see it. So same location, just sort of doing it there. Beautiful shot. Like, yeah, almost Harry Potter. Is it? Who's the prisoner of Azkaban? The Azkaban prisoner guards. Those things. Can't remember what they're called. As you might expect, Valum would have been disgusted by his new pupil's inability to beat Vader and the fact that he was still torn between his good and evil sides, demanding that Kylo leave his world immediately. The ancient villain got more than he bargained for when the leader of the Knights of Ren drained his life essence as well. I mean, you'd think teaching someone that and then demanding them to go was a pretty dumb idea, but never mind. In the final battle with Rey, Kylo used his powers against her to gain the upper hand. However, Abrams and Terrio would use this idea as a basis for the Force Dyad, something that allowed Palpatine to use their life force to revive himself on Exegol. And then we have the final battle. So this is the final battle itself between Rey and Kylo on Mortis. Great name. The duel would have included several major revelations, such as Supreme Leader Snoke being responsible for ordering the young Kylo and his knights to kill her parents. With his last breath, though, Kylo would have revealed that her real name is Rey Solana. Before that could happen, an epic battle would ensue, with Leia stepping in to persuade her son to finally act honourably after Kylo used Rey's life energy to repair his scarred face. This version kept Kylo Ren as the franchise's main antagonist and gave him only a small measure of redemption by the time all was said and done. Trevorrow did consider the female villain as the big bad, but was clearly torn between introducing her and focusing on the former Ben Solo. And then we'd have some Force Ghosts as well. You know, Luke, Yoda, Obi-Wan. So they're all coming to save Ben. Oh, please. But still no Darth Vader. Super dumb. But there you go, ladies and gents. I thought we'd just explore this on this this Sunday. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. Cheers. Bye-bye.